Okay, I just saw what seems to be a crazy story that Trump is canceling Biden-era pardons. Now, I want to explain what's happened and why it's happened and what I think will actually happen on the backside of this. So Trump just voided all pardons approved by Biden, citing the use of automatic signature. He claims Biden wasn't even aware of them and couldn't have approved them himself. So yeah, if we look at what's happened here, this is the tweet that he just put out, or the X, and again, this was President Biden's term. So the question is, can a sitting president unpardon somebody who is pardoned by by the current sitting president? Okay, here's Donald Trump's Truth Social post where he talks about this. And before you get worried about it, I don't think anything's going to happen with this one way or the other. I think it'll dissolve right away, or it'll go to the Supreme Court, if anything. But I'll explain how this will work. The pardons that Sleepy Joe Biden gave to the Unselect Committee, it's called the Select Committee, and he's calling it the Unselect Committee of political thugs, that's a January 6th committee, and many others, are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect. Okay, so theoretically, if you put this into an executive order, maybe, or there was a law created doing that, but a law or an executive order couldn't overturn a legitimate pardon by a former president of the United States. You can't undo that. But here's a technicality that he's going after. Because of the fact that they were done by Autopen. Now, Biden signs other things by Autopen, so I don't know why that would even be a thing. In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. Now, I have no idea how Trump would know that Joe Biden didn't know anything about them. Like, were you there? Did you have a spy? So there is a kind of conspiracy theory that during the last months or maybe even years of Biden's administration, he was just kind of, Mr. President, let's move you into this room. I just signed these things, and he doesn't really know what's going on. I don't think that there's any legs to that he just wasn't cognitively aware and then signed things that he didn't know, but we'll find out in future years when, insider stories are published. The necessary pardoning documents were not explained to or approved by Biden. Again, how Trump would know this, I don't know. He knew nothing about them, and all the people that did may have committed a crime. Well, again, if they were just like putting stuff in front of him he didn't know, that could very well be. But again, that's a conspiracy theory. Therefore, those on the Unselect Committee who destroyed and deleted all the evidence obtained during their 2-year witch hunt of me, and again, this is why he has sour grapes, because it's talking about the January 6th committee, particularly those people were some of those pardoned, and many other innocent people should fully understand that they are subject to investigation at the highest level. The fact is that they were probably responsible for the documents that were signed on their behalf without the knowledge or consent of the worst president in history of our country, and that is crooked Joe Biden. Okay, so that's the Truth Social post itself. And that in and of itself, that's problematic that a sitting U.S. president is doing this, talking about another former U.S. president and making these kinds of charges. But will that stick? Can he actually? Is there anything that a U.S. president can do to unpardon somebody who's been pardoned? Now, I happen to have written my doctoral dissertation on the founding fathers as they were creating the Constitution. So if you want to look it up, it's about American statesmen, the leadership assumptions of American statesmen during the Constitutional Convention and ratification debates, 1787 to 1789. So I'm very familiar with what the founding fathers said and why they said it as they set up the U.S. Constitution. The power of pardon is to give the president kind of an override to when he sees some injustice being done somewhere. So he sees that maybe somebody was unfairly tried and convicted of a crime, and he has some other evidence. So he can be a jury. He doesn't have the right to arbitrarily put someone in prison, but he can somewhat arbitrarily, based on his power of a pardon, to remove someone from there should he know something that he thinks has gone out of control. That's the idea behind the power of pardon. So pardon is supposed to be something that is like an extra check on. So again, the founding fathers, there's this group checks that group, which checks this group, which checks that group. And there's all these multiple checks. And this is another check. Is there any ability for check on the check, though? No, there's not. Once someone is pardoned, you can't go back to it, just like you can't be tried twice for the same crime. So that's what's happening here. Now let's look at this article, and we're talking about what has happened here. Trump claims Biden pardons are void, alleging that they were signed via Autopen. But Trump is trying to seize on this technicality of that Biden was using an Autopen and didn't know what was going on. And I don't know that you can really make that claim. And you like, how would you know that that is actually what's happened or what's transpired? So here in this article, President Donald Trump claimed that former President Joe Biden's pardons of lawmakers who served on the House Select Committee to investigate the January 6th Capitol riot and others are void, alleging that they had been signed via Autopen and that Biden did not even know about them. Again, how he could even possibly know that is beyond me, and it's beyond any reasonable. Anyway, okay. In other words, this is again part of the tweet that he just put out, or the Truth Social post. In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he didn't know anything about them. Okay, I'm going to skip down to the next paragraph. Now, this was interesting. While aboard Air Force One on Sunday night, Trump was asked whether executive orders and pardons signed by Biden via Autopen are void. He said, "I think so. It's not my decision. That would be up to a court." Okay. First, they're not void because they're signed via Autopen. But if Trump has nothing to lose here. If he says this, it becomes a thing, and his MAGA base loves this because he's kicking the teeth in of the other side. Okay, if he goes to court and he loses, no big problem for him as far as he's concerned. But if he wins, there's only upside here, because then these people aren't pardoned, and now we can continue with this. But it's going to go to a court. It's probably because it's a constitutional question, go to the Supreme Court. That's my guess, and it will probably be overturned. Now I know some of you would say, "Oh, but it's a Republican." No, there's a conservative majority, but the conservative majority tend to be originalists, not Republicans in the sense that they're not like trying to score Republican points or trying to stick to what the founding fathers meant when they said what they said. Okay, so it'd be up to a court. A little bit more. We gathered every document. This was a weird paragraph. We gathered every document we could find with Biden's signature over the course of his presidency. All used the same Autopen signature, except for the announcement that the former president was dropping out of the race last year. Okay, like this was some ominous thing, but this has nothing to do with the other thing. So it's just kind of feeding conspiracy theory with that. Here is the Autopen signature. The Oversight Project declared in a post on X earlier this month. Okay, and then finally, who was pardoned and what was going on here in a statement on January 20th when Biden was still president. The same day that he departed from the office, Biden announced that he was pardoning, quote, General Mark Milley, Dr. Anthony Fauci, the members of Congress and staff who served on the Select Committee, and the U.S. Capitol and D.C. Metropolitan Police officers who testified before the Select Committee, unquote. So that's who was being pardoned, and that's who Trump is claiming is being unpardoned because he used an Autopen and didn't even know that it was going on. So again, I don't think anything will happen. Trump's trying to seize some kind of technicality of his cognitive abilities not there, and he's using an Autopen, so you can't prove that it was actually his signature, but I don't think it'll go anywhere. Okay, tell me what you thought about this. Put that in the comments below, and thank you for your time. I apologize for the earlier video, which just had that tone. I don't know what happened to my microphone. I figured it out within a very short period of time that there was something wrong, and here's the new edition. All right. Thank you, my friends. I'll talk to you very shortly.